safe streets, vibrant neighborhoods, successful business and commerce. These are things that make a healthy community. We are a diverse community, rural, suburban, urban, a multitude of languages and ethnicities, ages and experiences. We are a collaborative community. Public-private partnerships make us a model community that others want to follow. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us strong. The employees of Kent County reflect our diversity and seek to serve our communities.
People in this county, in this area, we wrap our arms around each other. We come together to collaborate, to solve problems. We're all working for the good of the whole. And I think that's wonderful. And you can see it. You can see it as you drive around Kent County.
Our impact starts the day a baby is born and a birth certificate is issued, to protecting children from deadly diseases through vaccination, to the public safety and justice provided by law enforcement and the courts, to offering veteran services and caring for the elderly. Every day we work to keep our communities robust.
I think if you are somebody who's interested in serving your community, in building a strong knowledge base and a good group of people to work with, then the county is one of your best employment opportunities out there. It's been completely rewarding in every way I could possibly explain for 26 years, and I feel like I grow every single day still today.
Leading these dedicated employees, our 19-member Board of Commissioners and our County Administrator Controller, along with our elected officials and appointed department directors, placing emphasis on civic involvement, quality housing, vibrant neighborhoods, and strong, solid infrastructure to allow businesses to thrive. Professional, dedicated, collaborative, and innovative.
Behind the scenes, collaboration between foundations, charitable organizations, nonprofits, for-profit businesses, public sector demonstrated through the county, the city of Grand Rapids, the townships, all the cities and the villages in our area. If we don't come together, then we will not have the strength that we have today, and I only hope to build upon that.
Our aim is to make our communities the best they can be. We are involved in exciting development projects, sustainable recycling programs, and creative progressive prevention programming. We partner with elected officials, impacting policy ideas that become great achievements. We seek opportunities to reach out into the community and offer our services to help our residents make Kent County thrive.
Our relationship is solid, both from a staff standpoint at the county level as well as the Board of Commissioners. And they understand what we do and the benefits that we can do for the community, and vice versa. We couldn't do what we do without the help of Kent County.
While most of us are busy running our lives, Kent County's elected officials, administrator controller, and over 1,600 employees are serving the communities where we live our lives, so we can all have a place we are proud to call home. Kent County, its life well run.
Good evening. Welcome to the Kent County Commissioner meeting for Thursday, October 11th. This will be our third evening meeting of the year, and we welcome everyone, want everyone to feel welcome here at our commission meeting, and I will call the meeting to order, and we'll start with roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners Skaggs.
Here.
Korndike.
Present.
Womack.
Here.
Bulkowski.
Present.
Talon.
Here.
Hennessy.
Here.
Melton.
Here.
Mast.
Here.
Breivy.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Voorhees.
Present.
Ponstein.
Here.
Steck.
Here.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Here.
Commissioners Jones.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Antor.
Here.
Vonk.
Here.
Chair Salfeld. Madam Chair, you have 18 members present, 1 member absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will move on to invocation by Commissioner Breivy.
Thank you, Chair. Will you all please join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the changing of the seasons and the beautiful colors that surround us. We thank you for the opportunity we have been given to lead and serve our community. Please guide our words and actions this evening so we may honor you, and please fill this room with grace and peace so we may be a light unto others. We thank you, Lord, and we praise you. In your name, amen.
All right. We're going to move on to item 5, public comment. As is usual, Commissioner Chair Saalfeld typically read the rules, so I will follow his lead. As has been our practice for the past 3 years, public comment is limited to 3 minutes. A person wishing to address the board is requested to state his or her name and address. A person may address the board on matters or issues which are relevant to the county government. The chair may disallow public comment that is unduly repetitious, not relevant to county government, or matters not under consideration by the board. We are hopeful everyone can conduct themselves with respect of our rules and each other. It is important that we can do so for the safety and well-being of all of us here today. With that, I will open the meeting up for public comment and ask that you form one line down the center aisle on a first-come, first-served basis. Welcome.
Okay, I'm not bashful. My name's August True, 2958 Reeds Lake Boulevard Southeast. I've experienced a lot of emotion, as probably a lot of you have too lately. So this I'm entitling Horns of a Dilemma. It's taken from Robert Pirsig's Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, whoever you might be familiar with that book. Horns of the Dilemma. Our current community is currently facing a dilemma. My first real life dilemma happened when I was 20 years old. I had enlisted in the Marine Corps at 17 to defend American ideals. I was to come to learn that members of society can have very different attitudes about those ideals. I was stationed in California in the late 60s and became radicalized by the peace movement and came to believe it was wrong for us to be in Vietnam. And in my last year of service, I got my orders to ship out. This created a real moral conflict for me, and I had to find a way forward. I was to learn the solution is to always do the right thing. So now I'm going to try to bring the leaders of this community to a consensus of what the right thing to do to solve this dilemma. There are cliches about history, but in the past I've not seen much application, though I studied avidly my whole life. In these tumultuous times, however, I see many parallels. We can observe how society looks back at events to gain a perspective of our current policies. This is titled Divisions of Class. First, we turned the Native American Indians into immigrants in their own land and then took it away from them.
You're at 2 minutes.
Isolated them on reservations that to this day still oppress the entire race. During the 1800s, we used Asian immigrants to help build our railroads and then banned Chinese immigrants with the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. But anti-immigrant sentiment extended beyond the Asians among some of America's predominantly Anglo-Saxon Protestant population. Immigrants were resented as unwanted competition for jobs and because of their religious beliefs, especially Irish Catholics. In the 1850s, the anti-immigrant, anti-Catholic Native American Party, more commonly known as the Know-Nothings, appropriately, tried to curb immigration. They faded as a political force by the end of the 1850s, but their anti-immigrant nativist sentiment has remained as a part of our political culture. As historian Elliot J. Gorn wrote about the era, appeals to ethnic hatreds allowed men whose livelihoods depended on winning elections to sidestep the more complex and politically dangerous divisions of class.
You're at 3 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. State your name.
Good evening, Commissioners. Stephen Wooden. I live at 865 Aberdeen Street, Northeast in Grand Rapids. Coming today to express my sincere frustration and disapproval with the decision made last meeting to withhold the public from the chambers, excluding the chance to get public comment, but under those circumstances being escorted by an armed sheriff deputy. First, frankly, I do think it is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. While an argument could be made that being able to watch the proceedings from a closed-circuit TV in an adjacent room meets an equivalency, I would argue that unless you have a camera on all 19 commissioners and staff, it's very hard to replicate the physical presence that was visualized when the law was originally written. Additionally, I feel like the decision was contrary to the principles, the core principles of American government. I don't believe that anyone should need to be escorted by an armed guard to address their government. And it's for those reasons that I urge that that decision not be made again. In fact, I hope that you will change your rules to prohibit that action from being taken again by the chair or by the commission, that meetings should be available to the public. I realize disruptions have been made previously, and frankly, that's out of line as well, because there's a time to protest. That's a civil right, but not when the public's doing their business. And that is why the Open Meetings Act affords you the privilege to remove disruptive behavior from a chamber. But it does not afford you the right to prohibit everyone. And so I would ask that that decision be nullified, that further meetings be always open to the public. And I also would express my gratitude to the citizens who filed the Open Meetings Act complaint, because, like I said, I believe it was a violation of OMA. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Frank Lynn, and I live at 3446 Devon Northeast. And I'm not as eloquent as my predecessors, but I want to thank you for restoring the Open Meetings Act. I don't think that those were open meetings that you held 2 weeks ago. And the analogy I think about is, it makes me think about if I was in a classroom and some student in that classroom threw a spitball and we made the whole audience go sit in the corner. You know, all the students sit in the corner. That makes no sense at all. To be excluded from the meetings, I did nothing wrong. You know, why were we excluding the whole public? It's clearly a violation in my mind. So I'm glad you've opened up the meetings again. I hope you don't do what you were doing before. It makes no sense. You're just closing the meetings and keeping people from saying what they want to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, my name's Karen Myers. I'm a resident of Kent County. I understand that Commissioner Saalfeld had made this decision to close the meeting along with staff last week. I don't know if it was voted on by the entire commission. I do know that at least 2 commissioners publicly expressed their disagreement with the decision. And if this was simply Commissioner Saalfeld's decision, I haven't been in a civics class in a while, but that seems not very democratic. Indeed, closing off the public from your public meetings in this way is certainly undemocratic. It is also cowardly. Your reasoning for making these meetings even more difficult for the public to access is that we, Movimiento Cosecha, and their allies have been disrupting them. As you well know, we are not disrupting merely to disrupt. We have been coming to these meetings to try and get the commission to take action on behalf of the community that you are supposed to be serving. A community that is being terrorized here in Grand Rapids by ICE. Rather than take action, the commission has just added more barriers between themselves and the public. We have been told that we don't understand the process, that it is the sheriff who needs to take the action, that we should sit down and talk with you and the sheriff. When Cosecha sat down to talk with the sheriff and you, neither the sheriff nor one of the commissioners bothered to show up. Your actions toward the immigrant community and Movimiento Cosecha have been dismissive and disrespectful. You shut the public out of meetings. You send the police to follow us as though we are criminals during our peaceful demonstrations. But we won't stop. We will continue our actions until you do something to help the members of our community who are living under the terror of the racist, xenophobic, fascist entity that is ICE. It is untrue, and the ACLU agrees, that, as the sheriff has claimed, Kent County Jail has some obligation to house immigrants for ICE. Other county commissions and other sheriffs have ended these contracts. You can do it too.
You're at 2 minutes.
The only thing stopping you is cowardice. Do not continue to sit back and do nothing while members of this community live in fear, while families are ripped apart, and while children are traumatized. This committee likes to talk about doing what is legal, what the law says. It likes to talk about getting business done. Maybe what you should be talking about is doing the right thing, the ethical thing, the moral thing, and that is to do your job, which is to serve this community. And that is not just the moneyed business people, the people who have a certain skin color, the people who give you money and power. It is also the people who are the most vulnerable. Open these meetings back up and end the contract.
Thank you.
My name is JR. I live in Grand Rapids on Anishinaabe land. I want to echo what previous commenters have said about the accessibility of these meetings. And I would say this commission might believe it can sometimes hide from the people of this county and from ethical accountability, but history will judge all of us for how we live and how we act at this time, and none of us can hide from that. And I would ask the commission to think about that tonight, about how no one will be unseen by history. And we've been offering you the chance, the opportunity to do the smallest thing by ending this contract with ICE. I would again urge you to take that opportunity. I'm going to use the rest of my time to read from an article that was published just today, actually, by Alice Sperry for The Intercept. It's about the people who are paying the Kent County Commission and Kent County. The title is, "At Largest ICE Detention Center in the Country, Guards Called Attempted Suicides Failures." When Carlos Hidalgo was detained at the ICE Processing Center in Adelanto, California, guards would mock the detainees lined up to get their meals by imitating the calls of cows. "Moo, here are the cows walking through." Toiletries and clean clothes were in constant shortage, and sick detainees were sometimes left in their soiled clothes, he told The Intercept. Detainees worked in the center's kitchens for as little as $1 a day, or took cleaning shifts for no money but an extra ration of food. The food itself was so bad that it was sometimes infested with maggots, yet there was always too little of it, so that detainees would be forced to buy more at the center's commissary. "It's all about money," said Hidalgo, who is now free on bond. Staff at Adelanto ignored all but the most serious medical emergencies. After Hidalgo witnessed a detainee suffer seizures and staff do nothing to help him, he started organizing a detainee-run response team to help those suffering medical and mental health crises, which were frequent. When he asked the center's staff for help, those working with the GEO Group, the private detention company that runs the center, would refer him to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. "If I asked ICE, they'd say it's GEO's house, so ask them and go through them," Hidalgo said. Back and forth, so you end up getting nothing. In 2 stints at Adelanto for 9 months in 2014 and 3 in 2016, Hidalgo learned to navigate the system and became a bit of an organizer among the detainees. He arranged for transgender detainees to stay together for protection and helped fellow detainees file formal grievances, earning himself reprimands and once a month in disciplinary segregation. A guard once told him, "They don't pay me enough to give a shit about you." During his time there, 2 detainees tried to hang themselves with their bed sheets. "They just don't give a damn," said Hidalgo. "You're just another number. You're just another detainee." Last week, the Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General, which is tasked with independently monitoring the department's agencies, published a scathing report confirming some of the problems Adelanto detainees like Hidalgo have long denounced, including widespread indifference to attempted suicide.
Thank you. That's 3 minutes.
You should be ashamed.
Hi, my name is Idalia Tinoco, and I live in Kent County. I don't speak too much English, so I go to speak in Spanish, and he's going to help me. Yo soy dueña de negocio de 2 restaurantes aquí en el condado de Kent.
So I'm an owner of a restaurant here in Grand Rapids on 28th Street.
And yo puedo asegurar que ustedes están haciendo daño al tener ese contrato con inmigración.
So I want to say to you that your involvement or your complicity with the contract is causing a lot of harm to us.
Porque ustedes no saben qué son las razones de muchos inmigrantes venir a este país.
And you just don't seem to understand the hardship that people who are immigrants who come to this country go through.
Yo vine a este país ilegalmente.
So I came to this country without documentation.
Pero gracias a Dios en este momento cuento con un estatus legal bien.
But thanks to God, I now have a legal status living in Grand Rapids.
Gracias a eso puedo tener 2 negocios, 2 restaurantes.
And because of this, I'm actually able to own 2 separate businesses in the area.
So, no soy un criminal,
I'm not a criminal,
sino una mujer, madre soltera
so I'm a single mother,
y con ganas de venir a sacar a mis hijos adelante en este país.
and I have a great desire to see my children succeed in this country.
Y gracias a Dios he logrado darles una mejor vida a mis hijos.
And again, thanks to God that I'm able to offer a better life for my children.
Ahora que soy dueña de negocios,
And right now, because I am a business owner,
me doy cuenta que cuando ustedes tienen ese contrato con inmigración,
it's frustrating to me that you have this current contract with ICE.
That's 2 minutes.
porque cuando inmigración se lleva a un padre de familia, no es solamente un padre de familia, es también un empleado para un negocio o una empresa.
So when ICE takes a family member, a parent, it's not just a parent, but they're also an employer, or employee of places like where I work or that I own.
Y eso afecta económicamente a todos. Y creo a todos porque en especial a mí primero, después también al condado.
And this affects us all economically, not just me, but all the people who have been affected by ICE.
Y solamente por haber manejado sin una licencia que con eso tienen para poderlo reportar a migración.
That's 3 minutes, thank you. Go ahead and translate.
Can I just finish
Yes,
that
please,
sentence?
please.
And she just wanted to say that, as an example, for people who don't have driver's license, that can result in arrest and detaining, and that can alter their life completely.
Solo quiero poner esto en su forma de pensar que nos están haciendo mucho daño a la comunidad inmigrante.
And I just wanted to communicate and put it in your heads that this current contract with ICE is doing an awful lot of harm to the immigrant community.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
My name is Amy Carpenter. I live on occupied Anishinaabe land, which is called Kent County. You've seen me here before. I was arrested in the action on June 28th. I've worked with both Cosecha and GR Rapid Response for some time now. I, this past week, have supported the affected community in a pilgrimage from Grand Rapids to Lansing. Folks from the affected community walked from Grand Rapids, they left on Friday, to Lansing. They arrived on Tuesday, about 65 miles with support from allies like me, in order to fight for licenses for all. We've been told several times, you should go fight at the state level. Well, I think you underestimate the community that you're representing. I think you underestimate how organized they are, how intelligent they are, how they know how these things affect their lives. And I would ask you to really, really listen and look at their work and look at what they're doing. They've brought together the entire folks from the entire state of Michigan in order to make this amazing pilgrimage and go to the steps of the Capitol and demand licenses for all. The contract with ICE is, of course, another piece of the puzzle. It's been made clear that legally Kent County can end this contract with ICE. We can end this fear. Again, if you listen to the community, what folks need is for people like us who have privilege and who benefit
You're at 2 minutes.
from the work of immigrants. Every day, I ate apples today that have been picked by immigrants. I fed my family today with food that has been grown, harvested, and processed by immigrants. My children ate that food today. When we end a contract with ICE, who has been fascist and violent against members of our community, when we end that contract, we are one pillar in that support for our immigrant neighbors who are working alongside us, whose children go to school with ours, who are attending churches in our community, who are running businesses, who are working with us and our in our lives, our neighbors in every which way. So it's really important that you closed a meeting because you didn't want to listen to this, because
You're at
you
3
didn't want
minutes.
to be part
Thank
of
you.
this, is a shame. Shame.
My name is Alex Kelly. I'm a resident of Kent County, which is occupied indigenous land. I'm not going to spend a lot of time repeating what's been said today or what you've been told previously. You all are well aware at this point of the harm you're doing by not pressuring the sheriff's office with all your power to end this ICE contract. You know the harm you're doing. You know, you've heard from folks like Idalia twice. There's been plenty of examples in the media y'all have been given about what the horrific human rights violations you were complicit in through this county having a contract through ICE. You'd rather end meetings and hide behind armed guards than do the right thing. It's not just like Karen said, that's cowardice, but it's also evidence of a great degree of callousness. I don't understand how you can be aware of the depths of the harm you're doing. Some of you from a party that claims to be for immigrants, yet do this. Some of you would rather joke on social media about this fight than do something. It's been explained to you multiple times by legal experts that this contract is optional. Cooperation with ICE is optional. You're choosing to do this because if you're choosing to do this, that means you're okay with it. And that's a shame.
You're at 2 minutes.
That's a shame, and each and every one of you is complicit. Each and every one of you is complicit in incidents like those attempted suicides. Like the children who've been sexually assaulted by ICE agents. We won't stop disrupting until this contract is ended, until ICE holds are ended. You will not stop seeing us. End this contract, or we'll keep coming back.
Hi, I'm Sarah Doherty. You've also seen me before. The last time I spoke to this body, I talked about my German immigrant ancestors and about how the doors were open for them, like they were open probably for most of your ancestors, and about how the times that we're living in, we need to be thinking about what does it mean to be good Germans? What does it mean to be complicit in violent systems, in state violence, in ongoing harm to very marginalized people who shouldn't be marginalized because they are such a huge part of our community? I mean, you've heard that. And what I've seen from this body is increasing distance from the people. I feel like it needs to be said a couple more times maybe that the reason that people organize and disrupt powerful bodies is not because it's super fun for us, but because it's a really serious issue that's causing immediate and lasting harm. I don't know how to make you care about that. I feel like you should, because you're our elected representatives, and I've watched you throw your weight around to influence the land bank, over which you have much less direct power than you have over the sheriff's office. Whether or not it's a couple years out that you're talking about using the budget, only a couple of people who have actually committed to doing some work on ending the contract. You know it's not working for the immigrant community. You know it's doing harm. You know it's optional. And what I'm mostly seeing is resistance to hearing from loud people, from rude people, but like, do you understand? Do you care about the fact that every time an immigrant is detained, if they're eligible for bail, it's $7,000, $8,000, and like poor and working class people are pooling $5 at a time to try to get people out?
You're at 2 minutes.
To try to give people a chance to sort of fight their legal cases, but like, if you took away this one small piece of the massive machine, which is the violence of ICE, you would be helping people. You would be sending a message to your community, to your constituents, that you care about immigrants, that you care about the people who affect our lives every day. I don't know how to make you care about that, but like I think you should. I think most of us think you should. I think rather than putting barriers between yourselves and the people, you should, listen, pay attention, do some action instead of wringing your hands. So I'll also say, what I've seen is a shame. I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed to be a resident of Kent County. And my name is Sarah Doherty. Thanks for listening.
Hi, my name is Rita. I'm from Kent County of Grand Rapids. I'm just here to ask you guys, please, to end the contract, because you guys separating families, you guys sending people back to their countries. When some of us came over here when we were very young, we didn't know that we need papers or we need to be legal, illegal, whatever you guys call it, to be here. Our parents came over here with us because they were looking for a better future for us. We grew up, we went to school, and we didn't know that we needed a license to drive. We didn't know that we need to have papers to be here. And then when we grow up, one of my friends just got deported because he was driving without driving license. And when we were in high school and we started, we needed papers to go to college, we needed papers to get our driving license, we need, for everything. We need a driving license because you getting just deported because you don't have a driving license. He got deported because he didn't have driving license. He was here since he was 2 years old. They sent him back to Guatemala where he didn't know no one over there because all his family was here. It was very hard for him because he really knew how to speak Spanish, because he was raised right over here, because his parents wanted a better future for him, but everything got back just because of we didn't have a driving license, because of the contract that you guys have. Because if he didn't have a driving license to show the police take him, they go to Kent County, and then the immigration got called in. And he didn't deserve that. He had a job, he was doing good. We just work, we pay our taxes, and we don't deserve for you guys to keep doing this to us because we're not doing nothing.
You're at 2 minutes.
I mean, it's just like all the countries have bad people, all the countries have good people. It's everywhere, not just us illegal, not just the people that don't have no papers. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go, it's bad and good people. No matter the race, no matter the color, no matter what. Everywhere you go, it's bad people. Not just because we illegal, we bad and we rapers and we bring bad stuff. We do bring some bad stuff, but we have more better stuff than bad stuff. Here you guys see, we do the hard work because no one wants to go pick up apples, cherries, and stuff for $9. Well, we have to do it because we need to for a living every day. So I don't think it's just right for you guys to keep doing this to us. Just think, you guys hurting us very bad. You guys hurting our families, our kids, our neighbors, our friends, and
Thank
we
you.
were
You're
not
at 3
even.
minutes.
Thank you.
My name is Virginia, and I am a resident of Kent County. And I just wanted to see if any of you have witnessed firsthand a family being destroyed by deportation. Like, so many families are getting ripped apart, and it seems like you can do something about it, but you're not doing it because you're making money out of every deportee that they take. But if you weigh that out, how much you guys are making, now these people that you guys are deporting are the same people that pick our fields, our apples, oranges, fruits and vegetables. What's going to happen with the price of that? It's going to skyrocket, because now they're going to have to pay twice as much to have Americans pick our farms. So is it worth it? Not only are the prices of all our fruits and vegetables going to go up, but our meats. How many butchers do you think are Hispanic? How many butchers do you think are actually white that work in the slaughterhouses, turkey farms, egg farms, cow farms? You name it, we do it. Not only by this contract that is in place now, our families getting torn apart. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen where a parent gets ripped out of their home, and there's a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old screaming because they don't know why their mom is being taken. When it could be so simple as it was before. You know what? If not only the driver license part of it, but this affects them even being able to get an ID. Without an ID, they can't even get water service, gas service, electric service.
You're at 2 minutes.
Simple things like that. They can't even insure their own vehicles. They have to buy vehicles and place them under somebody else's name. We don't want a ghost in Kent County. If everybody's able to get IDs, driver license, at least if you're going to look for somebody, you know where to find them. But if there's no type of identification on them, how in the world are you ever going to find them? I think ending the contract benefits everybody. That's it.
Okay, is there any more public comment for tonight? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item 6, the consent agenda, and I will call on Commissioner Breivy.
And the contract. When do we want it? Now. And the contract. Now.
Support by Commissioner Korndike, moved by Commissioner Breivy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a roll call. Sorry, Madam Clerk.
On the motion to adopt the consent agenda, Commissioners Skaggs,
Yes.
Korndike,
Yes.
Womack,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Talon,
Yes.
Hennessy, Melton, Mast, Breivy,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Ponstein,
Yes.
Steck,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bolter,
Yes.
Commissioners Jones,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Antor,
Yes.
Vonk,
Yes.
Chair Salfeld. Madam Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. The consent agenda is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move on to item 7, resolutions, and I call on Commissioner Korndike.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move resolution number 87 of today's date from the Health Department, the appointment of our county medical examiner.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Korndike, support by Commissioner Morgan. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, moving on to item 8. Oh, I'm sorry, same item, B. Calling Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move Resolution 88 of today's date from the Gerald R. Ford International Airport Authority, the Revenue Refunding Bond Series 2018 from Fiscal Services. I move the adoption.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Voorhees, support by Commissioner Korndike. Any questions or comments on this issue? This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the motion to adopt Resolution 10-11-1888, Commissioners Skaggs.
Yes.
Korndike.
Yes.
Womack.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Talon.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Melton.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Breivy.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Ponstein.
Yes.
Steck.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bolter.
Yes.
Commissioners Jones.
Yes.
Morgan.
Yes.
Cantor. Vaughn.
Yes.
Chair Salfeld. Madam Chair, you have 18 yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes. Resolution 10-11-1888 is adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item 8 of our agenda. This is our 1-minute public comment. Do we have any other public comment this evening? 1 minute. Come on up. Can you please state your name and address too?
Reverend Dietrich Tupper, 4750 Summer Creek Lane. I'm sorry, I'm new to the area. Kentwood, Michigan.
Thank you. Welcome.
Also pastor, thank you, also pastor New Faith Temple Church of God in Christ, 1701 Kalamazoo Avenue in the city of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I also serve as president of New Faith Temple Community Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit 501c3. Thank you for this opportunity just to share a few things. We have a wonderful opportunity. I've been working in government for 33 years, retired, just pastoring a church here in the city of Grand Rapids. And we have a partnership with DTE Energy. We just solidified and had a wonderful event where we had minority women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, small business owners to come to do opportunity to do business with DTE Energy. They have set aside $1 billion a year. And they've earmarked money to do business with small business owners. Unfortunately, that event was not full. We did have about 50 or 60 small business owners at that event. It was just enough to keep them interested in coming back to the Western End and to the Grand Rapids, Kent County area. And so we need to do better in order to support our small business owners, those who are struggling, having a difficult time, to help them economically, to lift themselves up. We also, in conjunction with that, we're also having some what we call the Week of Warmth, which is sponsored by DTE Energy. We have tickets for a VIP reception. The president of DTE Energy, as well as the vice president, will be at that event. I think it's a great opportunity. I know my minute is over. Yeah. It's a great opportunity for this august body to come and talk with the president, the vice president of DTE Energy, and executives that will be there. I have tickets for a VIP reception. If you can't come to anything else, if you don't stay for the concert, it's a free concert afterwards, a Christian concert that they will be sharing, and they have gospel artists coming. But if you don't come for anything else, I have VIP reception tickets here. I'll make sure I leave those with the clerk. Perfect. And we look forward to seeing you all at the reception. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome to Kent County. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right, any other 1-minute public comments tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 9, which is commissioner reports. Any reports tonight? Commissioner Talon.
Thank you, Chair. The Grand Rapids Downtown Development Authority met yesterday morning. 2 things I want to call to your attention. One is partial funding of an analysis of Ottawa and Ionia avenues downtown, looking at what should happen to those streets to make them more pedestrian friendly, to activate them, the spaces alongside of them, and one of the options that is mentioned in that context is changing them into 2-way streets. So a firm's going to be hired to take a look at that and explore a lot of those options for those 2 avenues. The other thing is partial funding for redesign of the Van Andel Arena Plaza, that area between the arena and Fulton Street, which is pretty barren right now. Those that are connected with the Convention Arena Authority might know that there's apparently some issues with security and for arenas all over the country, and they are taking steps to ensure greater security. So in conjunction with that, there's going to be redesign of that plaza, as well as the alleyway next to Van Andel Arena. A lot of potential for better use of that space. So 2 projects I thought you would find interesting. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Talon. Commissioner Kornick?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to report as chair of the airport, we continue to break our passenger activity numbers every month. And as a matter of fact, we have closed our parking ramp 50+ times this year due to it being full. So we have a plan now to open an E-slot that we're starting to work on. It won't be covered because we have those restrictions with air traffic control tower, but it'll offer the opportunity for patrons to have other options to park at our airport close into the airport. Also like to thank my colleagues tonight for passing the resolution to refund the bonds, allowing us to save a substantial amount of money to use for other purposes out at our airport. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Corday. Commissioner Steck.
Thank you, Chair. First, I want to report a little bit about the Senior Millage Allocation Committee that a number of us were able to enjoy this past week. I will preface it by saying that I cannot report that our numbers are up the way they are at the airport. But I think that we had a very enjoyable time nonetheless. It's a lot of work, it's hard work, it goes all day long for day after day after day. But my colleagues, Commissioner Hennessy, Commissioner Bolter, thank you for joining us this year, as well as Matthew and Sandra, spent a lot of time working through this allocation process. For those of you that haven't done it, I'm sure there's long lines to take over, but it really is an enjoyable experience. It's an opportunity to hear about so much that's going on in our community, so many good things, so many good organizations. And it really is a great blessing to be able to have some small role to play in the decisions about how we take these funds and leverage them for all that gets done for our seniors. Second item, I think I spend more time with the LRE than with my wife. I don't think, I know, I'm sorry. Lakeshore Regional Entity conversations, negotiations with Beacon to reestablish the new structure for how we propose to do the behavioral health funding throughout this region continues. We are on the cusp. I've said it before, but I think we really are on the cusp of reaching a resolution on a contract that is proposed to be submitted here to the Executive Committee, which will be meeting tomorrow, and then to the full board, which meets next week. And it looks like we will be able to accomplish the restructuring that we've been looking for some time. So I really do look forward to next meeting being able to report that not only is it on the cusp, but actually got signed. And then just briefly to acknowledge the work of some of my other colleagues, including Commissioner Bolter again, and Matthew for joining us with the Crisis Center work, which we are continuing to carry forward to explore how we can best provide for our Crisis Center in this community. I think that conversation continues to gel, and we continue to look for a good resolution from that. And then finally, I would be remiss if we didn't say something, if I didn't say something acknowledging I'm pleased to be back into our format here with a traditional meeting. I am very pleased and acknowledge the public that appeared and presented their case to us and reaffirm that we do not want to close out our public. We want to listen. We want to hear. And while we may not always agree, and sometimes some of us are slower and some of us are faster, we all at this table want to have our public engage us. So I'm pleased that we went the way we did tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Steck, and I think the LRE, we're all excited to hear the finality of that. So fingers crossed. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to bring up two reports. The first one is the Kent County Parks Foundation did have a very successful event with Something's Grilling, and I'd like to just continue to reiterate what a wonderful collaboration that is with public and municipality work together in order to help Kent County Parks. I'd also like to say at Grand Valley Metro Council, we welcomed the new city manager from Grand Rapids, Mark Washington, and if you haven't met him, I highly recommend you take some time to introduce yourself. He was a great addition to the Metro Council. Mayor Bliss won't be filling that seat. It'll be the city manager now of Grand Rapids, and I thought I would let you know that he did a really great job, and I'm glad that he's on Grand Valley Metro Council as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Any more reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to Commissioner Miscellaneous. Any miscellaneous tonight? Commissioner Bukowski.
Sure. Got to spend too much time outside today. And one of the things that I did is I went to a non-ribbon cutting at the new Ottawa Hills Playground. It's a piece of the Ottawa Hills High School campus that was, I think, given to the city of Grand Rapids to construct Grand Rapids' first universally designed playground. So it include children of all abilities to play together, not only children who have, I'll just leave it at that because then I stumble on myself and my friends get mad at me for what labels I use. But of course, the cool thing about Grand Rapids is we're finally catching up to our friends in Wyoming because they've had Frogs Hollow for over a decade at the Metropolitan Hospital campus, fully universal design splash pad at Lamar Park. So thank you for Wyoming for your leadership there, and I'm glad our friends next door are catching up. At that cold time outside, though, I had the opportunity to talk with somebody who is a counselor for children who are separated from their families at the border. Part of the controversy is that some of these children have made their way to Grand Rapids, and this person is, again, I mean, just the anguish that he as a counselor has with working with these children. You know, what is our role in this? We have to do something, and I'm going to keep asking the chair and Wayman and with the sheriff, soon to be new sheriff, to put together a task force. I mean, we've now spent 3.5 months not doing that. That's how this body works at its best. Others don't like it when we work really slow, but that's how we do it really well. We can really look at this issue and we can see, you know, the courage that was mentioned of Movimiento Cosecha when these people walked to Lansing and the weather on the weekend was even worse. And walked to Lansing, and people from all over the state came together and said, we have to do something different about licenses and how are we, again, destroying families. So what's really happening, what's not happening, what should be part of our legislative priorities at a state and federal level? Because again, like most at this table, I know immigration is a federal issue. And for 20 years, the feds have chosen not to do it. Administrations of both political parties or both major parties have messed it up and continue to do nothing. So what can we do? I think we can take some time to really study it and make the recommendations that we need to do. So I'm going to keep asking for that because, again, I know we do that the best when we do that as a county commission. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Commissioner Bukowski. Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Bolter. I just want to acknowledge a few people. A couple weeks ago, I got a request from NACO to get some input about solid waste problems that counties are having across the nation. I want to thank Dar Williams for filling that out. I'm not an expert in solid waste. I've always said if I knew everything that was going on in this county, there's not enough going on. But I was on a conference call today with a NACO lobbyist, and one of the things that the EPA has highlighted out of this report, and once it's issued, I'll make sure everyone gets one, is that a lot of counties like ours are having recycling problems. We've all got these mandates and percentages that we're trying to work towards, but now with China closing off the recycling markets, a lot of this recycling stuff is just sitting, and that's starting to be a growing problem. So I just wanted to thank the Public Works Department for doing that on my behalf. Also, this past weekend, I ran into members of our health department. They're always not probably the person that people want to see, but I called them and said that it's really appreciative to come to an event, not just to say, no, you're doing something wrong, no, you can't cook, no, you have to leave, but they're there more for education and promoting the safety of the food that's going to be at that event. I appreciate the professionalism of the staff. And also a few months ago, I had them interact with a business that had a concern with the county, and the same thing was extended there. The health department isn't there to be your enemy. They're there to try to get a win-win resolution to any problem out there, because at the end of the day, it's public health and public safety is their main focus, and they do a great job there, and I just want to appreciate the staff top to bottom over there. And then finally, I I had an opportunity to go to St. Joseph County a couple weeks ago for the SMART meeting. I always say if you've been to one county, you've been to one county. St. Joseph, just like us, have problems that we're facing. They also have a great park system. They also have rentals that are booked a year in advance. But every county's in this together. It's good to learn and look at different things that they're doing. Yes, they have veteran homeless problems too, just like we do. One thing that was something that stood out to me about the visit is they've had this, I don't want to say an eyesore, but a closed hotel that's been there for probably about 10 years now. And the county finally decided to purchase it, and they're going to be converting it into a senior center. It's got a pool in it, so they hope to renovate that. But the partners throughout the community of St. Joseph also said, we need a new home for the senior meals. So the commercial kitchen that was already in that hotel is a perfect fit for them. And then what they're going to do with the hotel rooms, they're going to be converted to affordable senior housing. So hopefully in a year or two from now, when I go back there to take a look, that'll be done. It'll be interesting on what they did. But we've got 83 great counties in this state that make us the one state that we are. And it's very unique, and I just wanted to pass that along, and I missed Harold and his cookies.
Thanks, Commissioner Ponstein. Commissioner Skaggs?
Thank you, Chair. Just want to echo Commissioner Steck and express my relief at the format for this evening's meeting, which I think is obviously clearly follows the Open Meetings Act and clearly demonstrated what I think is the best in us to make sure that we are always open to the public, always listening to the public, and really not shutting them out. I want to thank everyone who came, both those that are still here and those that have left. I appreciate hearing from you. I think we all do. And especially for many of you, these were very thoughtful comments, I think important for us to hear. I'm just a rookie commissioner, but I understand that these sorts of activities that have been going on and disruptions that have been going on are something that we're not used to at the county level. But I just want to express that I think that when we work collaboratively, we work best to find solutions that make sure that this county is running effectively and that it is fully open to the public that we serve. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Chair. As Chair of the Finance Committee, I just wanted to remind everyone that we do have a work session. We asked after the last work session ended if there were any additional questions to get those in. One commissioner submitted some additional questions, but we will still have our work session, but we'd really like to focus on any additional questions, and if you can get those ahead of time, that helps staff prepare, and that helps the meeting be more time effective and efficient. So please, if you have any questions, to get those in, and then we can review those on Tuesday during the work session. So that was the piece that and again, everyone is welcome to that. It's open to the public, 7:30 in the morning, right here in this room. And that will be the final work session prior to us looking at the approval for the budget in November. So, thank you.
Commissioner Melton?
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I didn't know this before. I would like to thank Mr. Troe for your service to our country. That is something that is near and dear to me, and I do not take that lightly, so thank you very much. It is not possible for me personally to sit and listen to the stories and angst that I hear out of so many of our community members who have been here month after month after month. And so I, again, am asking please to the board chair and the administrator to look into a team or a task force so that we can better support our immigrant citizens and those who have reached out to us as their elected officials. In my opinion, we have been elected to maintain and hopefully improve the quality of life here in Kent County for all of our citizens, not just for a few. And there are many who do not have a voice, and I know that personally from the area, the district that I live in, and that happens to be yours. I didn't get your name, but welcome. I think you are in my district. I love Kentwood. So again, I am offering my time, my services, and whatever I can do to be part of the solution. But I agree with Mr. Bilkowski, Commissioner Bilkowski, we can no longer just sit back and not listen, or at least show that we are hearing what is happening. We may not have a solution that there is going to be perfect for everybody, but to continue to have this be such a large issue with nothing being done or very little being done is very difficult for me. I thank you for opening up the meeting tonight. I was not here on the 27th. I just heard about it. Imagine my surprise when I come home and one of my neighbors is in my face and said, "What were you doing?" So I'm really glad that we have made this, again, an open meeting. It's what it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Talon?
Thank you, Chair. I want to echo the request of some of my colleagues that we take a look at some way of addressing the damage that's occurring to members of our community by the actions of ICE. And I realized as I was listening to some of the testimony this morning that I am probably pretty privileged in being able, did I say this morning?
You're so used to it.
Sorry.
It's dark out.
I thought he was sleeping through that meeting.
No, I feel pretty privileged to have been able to be part of some informal meetings with the sheriff and the undersheriff and some members of the community. And I'm recognizing when I hear these stories that I've been able to hear many more of those stories through that process, something that not everyone has. And I want to commit to you that I will put something together, some sort of a summary of what happened in those informal meetings, what my takeaways were. It was incredibly helpful to me, and I think I've heard from the sheriff and the undersheriff as well, that those meetings were pretty profound. We learned a lot from each other, and the folks from the community that were in those meetings learned a lot about how the Sheriff's Department works, how the County Commission works. So I want to share some of that stuff with you, and perhaps that can also be a bit of a backdrop to whatever actions that we take moving forward, because there are things that we as a county can do, whether it's in the health department, whether it's in our support of programs in the schools, to help mitigate those effects that we keep hearing are happening in the community.
Thank you, Commissioner Talon. I look forward to getting that. Commissioner Womack?
Yes, I'd like to welcome Dietrich Tupper, Reverend Dietrich Tupper, to our beautiful city. And we'll be doing all I can to assist with bringing more people out to your event. Also, for my constituents in Kent County, I would like to let them know that I was not a part of the suspension of our public comment from our chambers. And the majority of these commissioners were not a part of that, even though it was reported in the media that the commission has done this. It was really not something we had a chance to vote to. We only had a chance to react to it once we showed up to that meeting. I also think that the time has come for us to write up a resolution recommending to the Sheriff's Department to end the ICE contract and have it voted upon, so we can go on record finally to see what each commissioner thinks and represent your constituents on this matter. It's to the point now that a task force has been asked for, which isn't a bad idea, but at the same time, everyone at this table knows what it is. We've had a number of meetings. Some were disrupted, but even through the disruptions, we had a chance to hear from a lot of citizens who gave their heartfelt testimony to how they feel that ICE is terrorizing a community. And when it comes to Kent County's public health, we also look at mental health. So when you hear citizens speaking about feeling terrorized, then we're even talking about the future mental stability of some of our citizens. And one of the citizens asked, do you know anyone personally that has been escorted out of this country? I don't want to paraphrase her exact words, but I do know somebody, and I do know a family that was ruined because of a Hispanic friend I had here met here, and I didn't know he was an illegal alien, but he stayed here a good 13, 14 years, maybe 15, and during that time, he had children here. And then one day, we heard some rumors ICE was coming to the Hispanic community along the Granville area, and I noticed how things changed up. People don't know my radio station was at 1301 Chicago Drive, which runs right into Granville and is a heavily Hispanic community. And when that ICE raid started to happen, at first he wasn't someone who got picked up, but in the next month when we least expected it, he ended up getting picked up and he left the country. So I still run into his kids here. So I've seen how families are split up, but also understand the other side when they talk about the immigration laws that we have, that we can't let everybody come to America. But at the same time, I have friends in Denmark. I spent time in Europe. I have friends in Germany. I've seen my German friends and friends from Denmark. I was known for coming up with the term crazy Crolins. I see when they come to America, it doesn't seem to be as much red tape for them. So I would hope that we would be able to write up a resolution. I'm going to start writing up one. I don't know how I'm going to get support to bring it to a vote, but I'm going to be looking for that support. And that way we can either get this thing done, either it's going to be a recommendation we give the sheriff, and then the sheriff can decide what they want to do, as other counties has already did this. In Kalamazoo, the citizens were exactly right. Resolution came from the county commission, and the sheriff ended up opting out of that ICE contract. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but I would like to see it voted upon so that we can go historically on record during this dark side morally of American history, even though we're on a very bright side of American history with the upswing of job creation, economic achievement, jobs. Unemployment hasn't been lower since 1969, but still in America, there are some who are stingy with the blessings we've been given. And we are looking into areas that a lot of us don't even come across in our lifetime. But we hear about people who are picking apples. We hear about people who are living under the radar, and we're upset that's too much for them. I think that's a shame, and I would look for that resolution to be voted upon.
Thank you, Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Hennessy.
Not to belabor our continuing miscellaneous comments, but I would like to support Commissioner Bolkowski's call for a task force and to, continue to relook at what our legislative priorities are. We look at them once a year, but perhaps along the way, they need to be updated as well. I also appreciate the sincerity and the variety of the public comments today. And, really, we do hear what is being said to us. And earlier this week, I've never known anybody whose family has been disrupted by what we've done. I've not personally known anybody. But this week, I had the privilege of working with a young mom-to-be expecting her first child who was a recent immigrant here. And I really hope for her and her future and the future of her child.
Thank you, Commissioner Hennessy. Commissioner Kornick.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to thank you and Administrator Britt for bringing our meeting back to the normal way. I really appreciate that. I had a problem when that happened a couple of weeks ago. I talked about it immediately, and thank you for fixing that and bringing our meetings back to the normalcy that we all expect. On a lighter note, well, actually a more important note, for those of you who weren't at our Legislative and Human Resources meeting this past Tuesday, we had an update from Matthew Van Zetten in regards to our Veterans Affairs. We have a lot of great stuff happening with our veterans right now. We started talking about this probably in 2011 or 12, how we need to focus more on our veterans. And what we have done in the last 6 years has been amazing. One of the amazing accomplishments is we have ended veteran homelessness in Kent County. How phenomenal is that? That's something that everyone in this room ought to be proud of. and we need to continue down that path and do as much as we can for our veterans on a continuing basis. And I look forward to that work with Matthew and Wayman and other commissioners, Commissioner Vonk, Commissioner Antor, who are big supporters of veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cornett. Commissioner Steck?
Thank you, Chair. So I don't make it a practice of unabashedly acknowledging the accomplishments of my family very often, and certainly not my brother from a different political party. But I do have to acknowledge my brother Doug for the work that he has undertaken in order to accomplish a grant for lead abatement for the city of Grand Rapids of $1.5 million. I know how much work it is to continue to drive that pressure to get those kinds of funds. So Doug, well done. We'll talk about your party selection later.
Thank you, Commissioner Steck. Any more Commissioner miscellaneous before the evening's over? I just have two comments. I want to first really acknowledge our Kent County staff for all the work they've been putting in, Administrator Britt and Linda and Sandra and Matthew, and it is just incredible to me when you see the breadth of issues that they're having to deal with, and kind of we're in some tough political times. I call this time in the election season silly season. Sometimes it's not so silly, but I just really want to acknowledge all their hard work. And I also want to encourage us all to assume positive intent in each other. And I respect every last one of you on this commission, and just want to always assume we're all assuming positive intent in each other. So with that, we are adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been really striking out on these motions tonight. So excited about positive intent. Can I get a motion for adjournment? Thank you, Commissioner Breeby. We are adjourned.
I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
I am Kent County.
We are 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 Kent County.
Bayard, Kent County. Ami, Kent County.
Somos, Kent County.
Mas Ira, Kent County.
We are Kent County.
We are Kent County. We are Kent County. Oh yeah.